This is the European edition of Breaking Banks, the world's #1 fintech podcast and radio show. We bring you the European unicorns, startups, founders, regulators, and leaders innovating the rapidly evolving fintech scene today. A truly localized podcast with both English and local language content, with some of the world's most well-known hosts and influencers in the fintech sector globally. Join us every week as we explore what makes the European Union a phenomenal proving ground for many of the fastest growing fintech plays in the world today. Okay, let's roll.
Hey guys, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Matteo Rizzi. I am the executive producer of Breaking Banks Europe. And today we do have a special episode dedicated to a special project. FTS Group is part of the consortium that is dealing with this. This is called Block.IS. We have around this virtual table all the players that are making this European project happen. And this episode is the first one of a series that will involve a number of startups that are gravitating around the Block.IS, but we will tell you more during the course of this show. Let's start by a quick introduction from all the guests around the table, starting with Antonio from F6S. Antonio, welcome to Breaking Banks Europe.
Thank you, Matteo. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is António Damasceno. I work for F6S UK, actually based in Portugal. And in this project, I'm supporting everyone with the role of coordinator. My background is on software engineering, so that's I'm a PM, software architect, and F6S is one of the biggest networks for startups and entrepreneurs to get access to funds, services, and that's our interest and role in this project.
Great. Guest number 2, Babis from Intrasoft. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matteo. Welcome all to this podcast. So my name is Babis Ipektsidis. I'm working for Intrasoft International. Intrasoft International is a large European IT solutions and services company. It was established in 1996 and is operating in 13 countries. In this project, we play the role of Workpacks 2 coordinator, which is the technical and business support services for beneficiaries. Our company is very much interested in blockchain, as this is one of the future technologies, and therefore we have quite some activities in the field.
Great. The next guest is not a newcomer into Breaking Banks because he was with us for the show about the Lithuanian ecosystem. Vytautas, welcome back to Breaking Banks, but this time you're wearing your CIVITTA hat for Block.IS. So welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Hello. My name is Vytautas Černiauskas. I'm an expert at CIVITTA. And CIVITTA is a leading management consulting company in Central Eastern Europe. And besides a lot of classical management consulting things, we also are heavily involved in the startup ecosystem, embedded, and also coordinating quite a few projects together with partners related to startup acceleration hackathons and other things. So I'm very well involved in the Lithuanian and also Baltic ecosystem and overall in the sector in the region.
Great. Last but not least, Dan from InoSens. So welcome, Dan, to the show.
Thank you very much, Matteo. My name is Danijel Pavlica, here on behalf of InoSens, a company based in Novi Sad, Serbia, that specializes in delivering innovative, scalable technology solutions and business services for diverse European value chains. Within the Block.IS project, we are in charge of work package 4, namely serving as communication and dissemination managers. So really glad to be here today with you.
Great. So, gentlemen, let's do the following now. Let's unmute ourselves, sort of all of us, and let's start sort of with an overview about what is Block.IS. So, I will pretend not to know, anything about it, but I heard blockchain, I heard startups, I heard infrastructure, communication, services, hackathons, events. Sounds like a mix of all of it. So I will start with Antonio because what I do know is Antonio is, or F6S at least, which is a super challenging name, by the way. Every time I have to pay attention or how I spell the three sort of letters, one after the other, well, it's funny, is like the chaperone of the whole project, and we all sort of work with him, including FTS, of course, and let's sort of integrate whatever Antonio says with your own perspective. Okay, I will see who wants to talk, or you can use the different sort of infrastructure that you have on the back that our auditors can't see to build up of what Antonio is saying. Antonio, what is Block.IS?
So Block.IS is an acceleration program funded by the European Commission, and our goal is to support SMEs to adopt blockchain technologies in three markets: agri-food, logistics, and finance / fintech. We do this with the support of clusters. Block.IS is a cluster-driven project funded on InoSoup 1 program, which means that clusters are the driver of creating value and impact for SMEs across Europe. So we have, I would say, two threads of work. The first one is the cluster engagement. So we are reaching out to clusters, namely in these three domains, but also ICT, to call for SMEs to develop the blockchain technology. So this is the part where we have missions, challenges, and so on that are led by clusters. And the other part is funding 90 companies across Europe with both direct funding, but also services to adopt or to let them improve their products that must use blockchain technology. On that sense, we have business services or business-oriented services, but also we provide blockchain enablers to help them speed up the development process of their product. So in a nutshell, there are a lot of threads in our project, some led by clusters which mostly focus on dissemination of this concept of acceleration and dissemination of best practices of clusters to support innovation in their ecosystems, and then direct funding for companies and direct support to help them boost their products.
Great. So now I want to talk about two things. One is, you mentioned about like the technical infrastructure to be able to deliver the solution, which is more like the Intrasoft space. And then all the startup consulting, ecosystem activities, which is more like a CIVITTA domain, and also we work with them in a couple of deliverables. So, maybe Babis, why don't you talk us a little bit about the Intrasoft role and what does it mean? And also, if you know, and if you don't, anyone from either Vytautas or Dan. I'm also curious and I'm pretty sure the auditors will be curious to learn how many sort of submissions we have, how many startups we deal. You talked about the funding of 90, but I'm expecting this project. When the project started, all these things, because hopefully that won't be the first wave. And the more startup and entrepreneurs will listen to the show, the more chances we have to make it even bigger next time. Babis, over to you.
So Intrasoft International plays a role as the work package leader of the Catalyze part of the project, which is the technical and business support services for beneficiaries. In this aspect, we work together with our colleagues from CIVITTA who provide the business services, and we are focusing together with TNO, our Dutch partner, on the Block.IS enablers and supporting services on them. So what are the enablers? We offer 6 enablers, 4 are provided by Intrasoft and 2 by TNO, which cover all the fields of the project, and they are the following. So we have the identity management based on UPort, which supports the ID management, authentication, authorization, and accounting services, protecting interactions with distributed applications. We have the secure object storage, which is the secure distributed storage services using IPFS. Then we have an ID business, and then we have the trust negotiations platform, which is the registered blockchain interactions among users using external, so third-party marketplaces, and the service registry, which is a directory of Block.IS services, which are either blockchain-based or not. And we have, from TNO, ID business process management based on SSIF, and also the semantic ledger enabler and the smart contract enabler. So what do we do with this? We offer them basically to our 90 successful applicants, which have access to them. They can look at them, they can experiment with them, and if they want to use them, they can also use them. So this is an interesting offering for them because they can use these blockchain tools in order to develop their own system, be inspired from them, and also move forward towards their successful experimentation in their own product.
Great, Babis. Now, since this is a podcast, it's a radio show, okay, you realize that you probably lost 75% of the audience after 2 sentences because you talk technical, which I understand, it's a technical infrastructure. But basically, if I translate it to a 12 years old audience, is that you provide a series of libraries and APIs, but in the blockchain space, so that whomever wants to build up services in fintech for a payment or in the onboarding of a client for an identity onboarding, they can use this library, right, and not build it from scratch. Kind of, is that close enough?
That is correct. Yes. Basically, we provide the infrastructure, and they can experiment through it and move forward with our own idea, and also test our own idea if they want to integrate in their product. Perfectly.
Great.
In one phrase.
Perfect. And then, Vytautas, how is then CIVITTA sort of plugging into this? This time let's have in mind that we have all kinds of auditors including entrepreneurs, of course. So let's try not to lose people, in the how to say it, in the podcast sphere.
Okay, I will pretend to have understood what Babis was saying, and there's actually so many moving parts that it's somewhat difficult to explain. But I will do my best, and if somebody will compliment, I will be very very glad. Either Antonio or Daniel or someone else. Basically, we have an acceleration program running in several ways. We have had a couple of open calls to select startups in the 3 sectors that Antonio has mentioned: agri-food, fintech, and logistics. There are a few others, like not super clear cut, but that's really a minority, less than 10%. So in the first, I will talk a bit about statistics, and then I will tell more about what's happening in those acceleration programs, what we're actually doing there. So in the first call, we had 118 applications from 26 countries. The majority was from Germany, Spain, Italy, and Serbia. And the most popular sector was fintech, which is not surprising since there are quite a few solutions on blockchain in the fintech space. And then we selected 23. There's several selection modes. They're working on their MVPs, they're testing, then they're experimenting, then they're innovating, etc. And then the final phase is actually getting as close as possible to the real traction, getting real clients, starting their sales, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to support them throughout the whole journey. And we have SMEs in the program from all over Europe, from Greece to Bulgaria, France, Spain to the Netherlands, Latvia, Estonia, Czech Republic, and so on and so forth.
How did the selection happen, Vytautas, from the large group that initially applied to the 90 that are now sort of engaging?
Mm-hmm. So we have several, as I said, we have several stages of selection. There's first, based on the actual applications, there's a process of seeing are they eligible for by formal criteria, which are set by the program. Then there are different parameters such as maturity, such as how likely is it that they will actually develop a working MVP that is possible to be piloted and is possible to be commercialized, because sometimes people have really nice ideas for like working on really exciting stuff, but it would probably take more time than we have within the program. Maybe it will take over a year, and it just doesn't fit into our timeline, or they're just too early, or other challenges that they have. And we have experts. We actually involve external experts as well in all the three fields, the teams present. We evaluate their presentations. Where the experts ask questions, then their marks, and there's also, so this is like a smaller setup in each of the three domains: agri-food, logistics, and fintech. And then the separate thing is also pitching. So they pitch, and there's also a separate panel that is evaluating their pitches. Well, it's a shorter format. That doesn't go very deep as when we involve external experts. And then with each wave, we select less and less that go to the next stage, so to say. During the program, we have a lot of activities. We have webinars to support on different topics. Some are business oriented, some are technical oriented. Of course, with the help of our consortium partners that are providing technical support, for example, Intrasoft, because some teams they do have sometimes a need for technical support, and some parts are more business oriented. And we also have mentors. We have quite a large pool of mentors, mostly external, that come from very different domains, and they support the teams throughout the program. They have regular meetings, and then the mentors are there to help the teams to advance, to reach their milestones, and to prepare also for the selection processes that I just talked about, because the teams need to prepare certain deliverables. And to describe what they did on the product development side, what they did on the business development side, what is the progress, what is their plan for the future, how it looks like, and then they're going to be evaluated on that. So I'm sure that there are more parts that I have missed. Maybe no, it's
okay. I mean, that is I like it because we are getting into like something that is like a concrete, and I know that António wants to build on what Vytautas just said. But before, I would like Dan to get in to step in and talk a little bit about the challenging of communicating around such a big project, and I am actually technically still. I even did a call this morning. One of the mentors and the coaches of these startups, and I have like my own companies to coach. And from time to time, there are actually other events where I became like a spot sort of coach for a sort of a turnaround of many ideas. And I actually see impressive projects, So if you wonder, for example, what blockchain and agri-food or food industry, have to do with each other, think of the traceability of the food. Think of the value chain of the food that can be notarized using a blockchain, for example. In fintech, as Vytautas rightly mentioned, there are a lot of applications already. Definitely sort of decentralized finance, which is sort of the next frontiers, from blockchain applications, has a lot of visibilities as well. So, Danijel, talk a little bit about how we communicate around it, and then I will let António build on top.
Of course, yes. Firstly, we decided to target startups that we already know that they have some kind of ideas. We know where to find blockchain startups, mostly fintech ones. Those were basically not an issue to find and to attract. It was clear for them what we offer. Usually when it comes to startups, they have two issues, which is basically one same. Either they are business professionals or technical professionals. And it was sometimes hard in other acceleration programs. If you only offer business part, you will not get people inside that are well familiar with entrepreneurial skills. On the other hand, blockchain technology was rather new in the European sector. So what we wanted to do is to showcase that we offer a huge acceleration program that rounds up all necessities of one blockchain startup or an entrepreneur that is willing to embark on its blockchain journey. And that is how we communicated the acceleration program, basically, that we offer a holistic approach, that we do have both business experts inside that will help. Also, we have technical people with amazing background in blockchain technology. But on the other hand, we do offer, and we did offer and distributed 2.8 million euro of equity-free funding. So it was not that hard to communicate when you have so much to offer. And at the end of the day, we attracted more than 300 European startups, not just on the open call, but also on other services and events that we offer, such as cluster missions and innovation challenges.
Great. António, there are actually, I'll let you sort of build on what both Vytautas and Dan said, but there are also like other clusters potentially that can join the crowd, right, António?
Yes. So first, I would like just to build on what Vytautas and Danijel said, because one of the key concerns on these European programs is that mostly companies from Southern Europe apply and get funded on these projects. But with the help of Danijel and all the consortium members, you are able to reach almost every country in Europe, and you receive applications from every country in Europe, and it was great. So the strategy designed by InoSens and led by Danijel was fruitful, and was quite relevant to reach out every corner of Europe. And then going back to your question, so at the last stage of the project, we are engaging with additional clusters on different sectors, and we actually will have a first working mission by the end of the month, where we will showcase the concept of Block.IS, and will attract additional clusters to our ecosystem and ask them to provide challenges that can be solved with blockchain technology. And the goal is to find a new set of companies that are interested in improving their products on those markets and provide some funding, not too much, but the money that we have left to also for them to explore possibilities of improving their solutions with blockchain. So we are at this point actively looking for clusters in other industries so that they can join the project.
How they can reach out? I mean, how an entrepreneur with with blockchain ideas or projects can reach out? So, Antonio,
we have first of all, we are engaging with these clusters to identify the challenges, and then we will disseminate in our communication channels the challenges, and they can apply until September for the challenges. So they will be announced by the end of July, and the challenges will be open then until I think it's October that they can apply for the challenges, and we will select 16 companies for these challenges.
Great. So one thing that I'm I would be really keen to add and to talk a little bit more about is that this is like the first, as FTS, this is the first sort of European project at scale I've been involved with. And I must admit I was a bit skeptical before starting, right? Because we all hear about this European project, money is flowing, we don't know exactly for what. Someone is, there are people who think that there is no real innovation happening, and it is just like a way to keep some startups alive without real meaning. And I actually found the opposite. I found actually projects that are not only super significant and relevant and with clients, but also the right type of funding for stretching a little bit the innovation inside the startup, and not like not for the business as usual. So I would like to have the opinion of all of you around the table. So according to what you have seen, where is the cursor between funding a startup that was already established, or funding an extension, an experimentation, or something that was using technology to go the extra mile, compared to what the startup was already doing or the idea was already doing? Because I saw a lot of the latter, which is amazing because somehow you need some sort of a more patient capital to do this, because the experimentation needs funding. It's a little bit funding for research, but at the same time there are super concrete deliverables so that each one of the startups has to provide. So who wants to comment or build on top? Maybe Vytautas, maybe.
I think that our program is quite successful, and probably the best indicator that we have on the success of this type of funding is that on the first round we invested in SMEs 1.4 million euros in direct support for these companies, and until the end of the program, or before the end of the program, they already attracted 2.5 million euros in investment. Okay,
so in real venture capital money.
Real venture capital. They have created 29 jobs, and in what we have reported from them is that they have more than 100 deals done even before ending the program. So this is a concrete support or concrete indicators that you can give that these types of programs are really helping the SMEs in, as you say, going that extra mile and doing the final steps of research and development and bringing significant products to the market.
Anyone else want to add? I see people nodding. You guys, Daniel, go.
I would say also to add up on what Antonio said, one of the biggest challenges for the consortium at the beginning was, of course, as you mentioned, different levels of startups development and their ideas. But when we stepped into both business and technical acceleration parts, we realized that the consortium is quite well structured, because you do have amazing clusters and sectoral associations such as Voice, ITLOG, Digital SME Alliance, Fedakova, and of course FinTech Stage, each of them creating a big impact in their respective sectors, but also meaning that they do have a lot of experience in what those sectors need. On the other hand, you have innovation and business and tech transfer specialists, CIVITTA, Synalixis, InoSens, IDI, and blockchain tech experts as Intrasoft and Tieno, and of course everything led by a huge community of startups led by F6S. So that is what made a difference, I would say, in comparison with other projects and other similar initiatives. It was a well-rounded consortium with an amazing impact and experience behind.
Thank you, Dan. So this, guys, is part of an initiative that is driven to do exactly that. So what we want to do is that we want to give visibility to this type of projects. So whilst we are wrapping up, let me tell you what is going to happen afterwards. So in the next 3 specials, we're going to run one show per cluster. And in each one of the clusters, we're going to invite, I don't know how many, but a number of startups that will showcase their projects. And you will see, I want to ask them, how did they spend the money? Which type of innovation they were bringing, which business cases, which problem they were solving. So it will not be like an investor deck, but more like a business call, or a business show with all the startups that were part of the program in the different clusters. And we hope that this will contribute to, one, explain the journey of these entrepreneurs to more entrepreneurs for the coming projects, as well as to the skepticals like me before entering into Block.IS, that actually this money from the European community is super well spent and invested. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. We promised to keep it in the region of the 30 minutes, and that was it. Maybe super telegraphic. Where can people how can people join you? Like Twitter, LinkedIn, I don't know, the website of your company. Literally 10 seconds. Starting with you, Daniel.
Everyone can find us on Block.IS.eu. There you can have all the news, everything in relation to the program, everything in relation to the partners, and of course our startups and their ideas. So feel free to visit the website and follow us on social media.
Great. Vytautas.
Yes, I can only concur with what Daniel said about Block.IS.eu. Everything is there, and of course there's the social media handles which are called Block.IS as well on different platforms, and of course you can Google consortium members and find us online as well.
Well, then I think that Babis, I won't ask you the same thing because you're likely to give the same. There we go, Antonio. Let's f6x.com. Let me do some good publicity for you guys, because your platform is an excellent framework that covers startups from every single vertical I can think of, and your support has been impressive. f6s.com. Guys, thank you so much for being with us, and stay tuned for our next special Block.IS show.
Thanks for listening to Breaking Banks Europe, a Provoke Media podcast in cooperation with Fintech Stage. Don't forget to tweet us out, shout out, or post to the team at Breaking Banks EU on Twitter. If there's something or someone you'd like to hear on our cast, let us know. See you next week on Breaking Banks Europe.